Obedience has never been about force. The tyrant who screams is already weak. The manipulator who must threaten has already lost control. The true masters of power have always known obedience is architecture, a structure of thought, emotion, and perception so precisely engineered that people don't even realize they've stepped inside it. The most brilliant leaders, cult founders, generals, and corporate strategists never ordered submission. They designed it. They created invisible cages, systems so immersive that people walked into them willingly, locked the door behind themselves and smiled, believing it was their own choice. Ask yourself, how many times have you obeyed, not because someone forced you, but because it felt like the right thing to do? You bought the product not because you needed it, but because the story around it made you feel alive. You followed the rule, not because it made sense, but because breaking it would make you feel guilty. That isn't freedom. That's design. The art of obedience is the art of alignment, aligning another person's will to your own so seamlessly that they mistake it for their own desire. To make someone obey is not to dominate their body, it is to make their mind whisper, "I want this." Niccolo Machiavelli understood it centuries ago. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs, he wrote, that a deceiver will never lack victims. Most people don't crave freedom. They crave direction. They don't want to think, they want to feel right. They want someone to tell them what to do, as long as it feels like morality, destiny, or common sense. That's why tyrants wrap cruelty in virtue. Why corporations call layoffs restructuring. Why governments justify control with sacrifice. People rarely submit to brute force. They submit to what feels inevitable, righteous, or natural. Machiavelli's darkest lesson still holds. Morality is not a limit, it's a mask. A ruler doesn't need to be good. He only needs to look good. So the question isn't, why do people obey? It's, why do they want to obey? Because it's easier. Because it's safer. Because it absolves them of responsibility. The mind doesn't surrender to violence, it surrenders to coherence. If your version of reality feels cleaner, calmer, and more inevitable than theirs, they will step into it without resistance. Control begins long before the command is given. It starts in the environment, in what Robert Cialdini called pre-suasion, shaping the context so that when their quest arrives, it feels natural. You don't have to convince people when you've already designed the stage. The most effective persuaders don't force agreement. They engineer inevitability. They plant ideas in conversation that seem harmless. We're all under pressure to show a win this quarter. Then, when they present their solution, it feels like destiny. This is that win. That's the essence of control, not domination, but direction. You don't push, you arrange. You don't order, you imply. You don't demand, you make the alternative feel impossible. The language of obedience is never shouted. It's whispered between the lines of reality. People obey coherence, not truth. They obey posture, not logic. They obey what looks like power, not what is right. A calm voice, precise words, still gestures, and an unhurried rhythm signal dominance more than rank ever could. The one who speaks last, speaks least, and holds eye contact longest, wins. Humans are drawn to hierarchy, not because they love submission, but because hierarchy feels safe. Certainty, structure, and stability are narcotics for the anxious brain. To make people obey, make them feel that disobedience is chaos. Create the illusion that following you isn't a choice, it's protection. When fear and confusion rise, whoever projects the most calm becomes the center of gravity. Dress one step above your environment. Speak 20% slower. Move less. Authority is not loud, it's composed. People don't follow the loudest voice in the room, they follow the one that doesn't tremble. No one follows evil. They follow the story that justifies it. Every act of obedience hides a moral justification. Nazi Germany wasn't filled with villains, it was filled with believers. The Milgram experiment proved it. Ordinary people, instructed by a man in a white coat, pressed buttons they believed would electrocute strangers to death. No gun. No threat. Just posture, costume, and tone. The subject didn't say, "I'm obeying authority." They said, "I'm doing my duty." That's the brilliance of the architecture. When obedience feels like virtue, resistance feels like sin. In modern times, cult leaders, CEOs, and politicians all use the same pattern. They don't demand loyalty, they redefine it. They say, "You're not following me, you're being true to yourself." That's the most dangerous lie ever invented. Let's be clear, using these principles isn't inherently evil. The architecture of obedience is neutral. It can build hospitals or concentration camps. The structure is the same, only the intent changes. The difference between tyranny and leadership is purpose. If your design uplifts, it becomes guidance. If it drains, it becomes control. Still, the mechanics are identical, and understanding them is protection. Here's how the architecture operates in practice. You begin by framing reality. Before the request, you seed identity. You've always been the kind of person who moves fast when the path is clear. People defend identity more fiercely than they defend truth. Once you've named their role, they will act to maintain it. Then you limit choices. Offer 3 paths, one exaggerated, one mediocre, and one ideal, yours. People seeking balance will choose yours to feel rational. Next, make your world temporal, alive with scarcity. Give every decision a fuse. This opportunity closes Friday. Indecision now feels like loss, and humans fear loss more than death. Follow with consistency traps. Get micro-agreements before macro requests. Do you agree this leak is costing us? Yes. And that we need to act before next month? Yes. Then comes your move. Then let's approve the solution today. Each yes becomes a thread in the web. Pull it and they follow. Add the illusion of ownership. Phrase actions as defaults. I've scheduled the meeting for Thursday. Let me know if you need changes. Most won't. The brain prefers inertia over confrontation. And remember the oldest law, emotion and JEET logic. People obey not reason, but the one who regulates their emotions. A boss who evokes fear controls productivity. A lover who withholds affection controls desire. A guru who promises transcendence controls the soul. The trick isn't to manufacture emotion, it's to anchor yourself to it. Become the symbol of what they crave: safety, love, meaning, prestige. Once you personify the thing they want, obedience feels like belonging. The most brilliant manipulation is invisible. The greatest strategists don't shout their orders, they install them, quietly, subtly, as part of reality itself. Robert Cialdini called it pre-suasion, shaping the environment so that the target thinks your will is their will. The person obeys, but in their own mind, they've chosen. And that is the highest level of control, self-deception disguised as freedom. History proves it. The millions who saluted Hitler thought they were saving civilization. The cult members who drank poison thought they were ascending to heaven. The employee who sacrifices his health for a corporation thinks he's chasing purpose. Obedience doesn't feel like slavery. It feels like meaning. And that's why it's so powerful. Because the obedient never think of themselves as obedient. They think they're good. There is a geometry to influence, angles invisible but precise. Position yourself near the source of uncertainty and radiate stability. Control the agenda, and you control the direction of thought. Speak last, and your words will be remembered as final truth. Reward agreement publicly, and silence dissent without spectacle. Humans learn quickly what earns approval and what earns exile. Praise is a leash when used elegantly. Shame is the quiet whip that doesn't leave marks. You don't need to threaten someone to control them, you just need to make them fear exclusion. That's how social systems enforce obedience without law. The group doesn't punish rebellion, it erases it through silence. Because the brain is simple. It seeks patterns, safety, and identity reinforcement. When obedience gives it all three, it becomes addicted to submission. It's not logic that binds people, it's reward. Every time someone obeys and feels approved, their brain releases dopamine. Every time they resist and feel shame, it releases cortisol. You don't need weapons. You need repetition. Over time, obedience becomes muscle memory. If you master this architecture without mastering yourself, it will consume you. Power without purpose rots the soul. Influence without ethics becomes a parasite. And obedience without reflection becomes the quietest form of slavery, not for others, but for you. Because once you learn to pull strings, you risk forgetting that others are human, not instruments. The greatest danger of influence is believing your own illusion. The question is not, how can I make people obey? The real question, the only one that keeps you human, is, what am I serving? If you serve ego, you become a tyrant. If you serve clarity, you become a leader. The structure is the same, only the spirit differs. The art of power is not in bending people until they break. It's in creating a world so alive, so coherent, that they rise within it. That's when obedience becomes transformation, not subjugation. And that, whether you build kingdoms, movements, or simply stronger relationships, is the final secret of power. You don't rule people by force. You rule by making your vision feel like gravity, so natural, so inevitable, that resisting you feels like defying the laws of the universe.